Hey, welcome. Today we are diving into the incredible work of Carl Jung. Think of him as a master decoder of the human mind. We're going to use his insights to spotlight 5 personality patterns that can just completely drain your energy.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You hang up the phone or you walk away from a coffee chat, and bam, you're just tired, maybe even a little confused or pessimistic. It literally feels like your personal battery has been emptied out.
Well, Jung's work basically gives us a map to navigate these kinds of draining interactions. He believed that if we can just learn to spot these patterns in people, we can protect our most valuable resource, our own mental and emotional energy.
So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the blamers and the judges. Then we'll get into the takers and the performers. After that, we'll talk about the unaware critic, and probably most importantly, we'll wrap up with what you can actually do to protect yourself.
Okay, first up, we've got a pair that kind of works in a similar way. Their whole thing is twisting your perception of yourself and the world, making you second-guess your own reality.
So this first one, oh boy, I think we've all met this person. This is the individual for whom life is just one long string of bad things happening to them, and it's never ever their fault.
This right here is the absolute core of their entire worldview. They live in a reality where they're always just dealing with the aftermath of what other people do to them. They never see themselves as the cause, only the effect.
So how do you actually spot this? Well, you look for the person who's always going on about their bad luck, how everyone is out to get them, and who just flat out refuses to connect the dots between their choices and their problems. Being around it is absolutely exhausting.
All right, now for a more subtle character, but someone who is just as draining. I'm talking about the self-appointed judge of everything right and wrong.
And here's what's so tricky about them. They don't attack you with anger. They use disappointment. It's so much more manipulative. They'll say really blunt things, but frame it as just trying to help, which traps you in this endless cycle of trying to win their approval. At the end of the day, they don't want a real connection with you. They want control over you.
Okay, next up are 2 archetypes that drain your energy in a different way. They chip away at your ability to be yourself, forcing you into roles that just aren't you. You probably know this person. This is the friend or family member who is basically an emotional black hole. They are always reaching out for your advice, your comfort, your support.
I mean, this just says it all, doesn't it? You pour your energy into them, you give, and nothing comes back. They'll talk about the same exact problems for years, but never do anything to change. It's not a real relationship. It's a one-way transaction.
This 4th type is the person who seems, well, almost a little too perfect. Everything about them feels polished and scripted, and you get this constant feeling that you're watching a performance, not talking to a real human. And Jung had a word for this. He called it the persona. And look, we all have one. It's the professional version of ourselves at work, or the patient version with our parents. It's a social tool. But for the performer, that mask has basically fused to their face. They've forgotten who they are underneath it all.
And because they are so terrified of anyone seeing their real, messy, unscripted self, they create this environment where nobody can be authentic. Being around them makes you feel like you have to perform too. You're constantly on edge, and there's just no room to be yourself.
Now, our last archetype might just be the most confusing one of all, because the things they criticize in other people are often a perfect reflection of themselves.
This is a textbook example of what psychologists call projection. The critic attacks the very traits in others that they can't stand about themselves. So the stingy person is always calling others cheap. The one with a short fuse criticizes anyone who gets angry. They drain your confidence by pointing fingers, but they have no idea they're really just describing their own reflection.
Okay, so we've identified these 5 really draining patterns. Now for the million-dollar question, what on earth do you do about it? How do you protect your own energy?
Your first instinct might just be to cut them off, right? And you know what? Sometimes that is the right answer. But a lot of the time, these are people we care about, family, old friends, coworkers. It's not always so simple.
The key here is to get intentional. So, step 1, after you see them, check in with yourself. How do you feel? Drained, angry. That feeling is your compass. Step 2, consciously decide how much energy you're willing to give them. It's your choice. 3, you can gently try to help them see by sharing resources, but you can't force them to look in the mirror. And finally, you have to set a deadline for yourself. You can't put your own well-being on pause forever, waiting for them to change.
And really, this is the bottom line.
It is not your job to fix or save anyone. You can be supportive, you can offer them a path, but at the end of the day, the journey to our self-awareness is one they have to take on their own.
You know, learning to see these patterns isn't about judging other people. It's about empowering yourself. It gives you the clarity to choose, consciously, where you invest your time, your empathy, and your precious energy. And that choice is always yours.